Guys, for this month, we have dropped Murdered Midwest subscription to only $5.
That's over 30 bonus content episodes that include famous serial killers.
Like John Wayne Gacy and BTK.
And famous cases like O.J. Simpson, John Benet Ramsey, and Gypsy Rose.
And once you sign up, you'll get access to all of those episodes.
As well as like a new episode every Friday.
And the fastest way to sign up is by going through the link on our Instagram bio.
Click the subscribe to Murder Midwest and watch those locks disappear.
We really appreciate your subscription and your support. Thanks, guys. Are you looking to buy or sell in 2024? Let Amber White help you find your home sweet home. Amber is a local realtor to the Kokomo and Howard County area, and when I say she knows her stuff, she knows her stuff. When we decided to move closer to family, I literally messaged Amber and told her I wanted to sell my house, and then later I want to buy this house, and she made it all happen. Buying and selling is such an overwhelming process, but Amber seriously took care of every single step and eliminated all the stress for us. Her knowledge was invaluable, and while I say I never want to move again, I know exactly who to call if we decide to. Follow her on Facebook at Amber White Realtor /broker with Carrie Gruhl and Associates, or you can give her a call at 765-865-1118. I'm Kayla Keith, and this is Missing Midwest, a true crime podcast about those that have gone missing. Today's case is about a young boy who went missing while delivering papers. Johnny was just 12 years old. He was the first missing child to be featured on a milk carton and hasn't been seen since. Someone knows something. Hello.
Hey, milk cartons. It's kind of something that like you don't think about anymore, but that was a big deal back then. Yeah.
He was the first kid to be featured on one.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm just going to preface by saying this case is full of twists and turns and conspiracy theories. I love a good conspiracy theory. And so there's basically two theories. So one of them, that Johnny was abducted and killed and nobody ever found out who his killer was. And the second one is that he's still completely alive and his mom fully believes that he's alive, and there's some good evidence to back it up.
Whoa.
So you can pick which one you want to believe at
Buckling
the end
up
of it.
right now.
It's pretty crazy.
It's crazy. I think it's crazy that you and I were so into our cases this week that we didn't talk about them.
We both were. We were
like, I was like, I freaking hate this guy. That's like all I was like, this guy's the worst. The Murdered Midwest episode from yesterday was linked. Actually, he's the number one suspect in last week's Missing Midwest episode, and I was just absolutely swan diving into the rabbit holes and everything that went along with that case. And I know Kayla's got like 19 pages of notes over here, so she was real deep in her case too. But we haven't really talked about the details. I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about it. So I'm excited to hear your story. I know you came prepared, and you've got a lot going with this. So
yeah, like you said, 19 pages of notes might be the most notes I have on a case.
Crazy.
Sure.
And you know, you think about the milk carton situation. Like, I haven't thought about that in years, but I mean, that was Missing Midwest before Missing Midwest was a thing.
Literally.
Like, before podcasts were a thing, we did milk cartons. You know, crazy. So good call on picking this. I'm excited to see what you got.
Okay, well, we are going to Iowa today. I'm gonna let you pronounce it because I literally always screw it up.
That's Des Moines.
Are you sure?
100,000%.
I know. I just don't like it.
It's Des Moines. I'm a fifth grade teacher. We do U.S.
I just
geography.
don't like it. It doesn't sound right, and they should have spelled it differently. Okay, so
it looks like Des Moines.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna say
it's Des Moines.
That.
It's Des Moines. I'm 100%
I know.
locking in.
Des Moines, Iowa. Okay, so that's where we're going. Population 211,000. They have like $15 to $18 generals there. It's like a really big city.
I respect it.
So yeah, I literally have Des Moines population and dollar generals. I didn't even get anything else about the city because I have 19 page of notes to follow. All right. So that's all you get. That's where we're going.
As far as announcements, I just want to throw out there that subscriptions are now $5 for this month.
Yep.
So if you're thinking about Murder Midwest, it's $5 subscriptions. And then, yeah, I'll let you get going because I know you got a lot to cover here.
Okay. Also, announcement, I sound like a man. I woke up without my voice this morning. I don't know why. nothing. My throat doesn't hurt.
I don't remember you like screaming at me or anything.
I didn't.
For there to be a lack of voice.
This is completely just, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so we are going to Sunday, September 5th, 1982, okay? We are in a suburb of West Des Moines. Johnny Gosch. Gosch. I've heard it pronounced both ways. I'm going to go with Gosch. It's going to be weird saying Johnny because that's your name.
It is my name.
That's what I call you. But anyway, Johnny was 12 years old, and he left his house just before dawn to go do his paper route. He had been doing this paper route for 2 years. It was just through the suburb where he lived, and he was very responsible. He did it. Normally, his dad went with him. But on this morning, he did not wake his dad up to go with him. He just took the family dog. Her name was Gretchen, by the way. She was a wiener dog. Wiener dog.
Little dachshund.
Anyway, so he was a super sweet kid. His parents were John and Noreen Gosch. He loved to build rockets, like model rockets.
Okay.
I read a story about him that absolutely broke my heart. Melted my heart, all the above. He would save his money from his paper route, and they would ask his older sister to drive him to the mall so he could buy supplies for his rockets, and then with the money that he had left over, he would stop at the flower shop and buy his mom a rose.
Good grief.
I know.
That's wholesome.
I know. So anyway, on that morning, he didn't wake his dad up, like I said, and him and Gretchen went out on the paper route together. And so he had to go pick up the papers. There was like a paper drop in the morning, and he was delivering for the Des Moines Register. And so he went to pick up his newspapers. Picking up his newspapers, that was the last sighting of him. So there was a couple people that saw him. But by 6 a.m. that morning, John and Noreen started getting these phone calls from customers on the route saying that their paper hadn't been delivered yet. And so his dad immediately went out and started walking the route. He knew the exact route because he usually did it with him. And around 6 a.m. that morning, he immediately found Johnny's red wagon.
Not good.
Full of papers.
Oh, jeez.
Not one had been delivered.
Whoa.
And it was 2 blocks from their house. The parents immediately contacted the West Des Moines Police Department and reported his disappearance. It took an hour for the police to show up.
Really?
Which is crazy, to take their statement. So that's a point of contention.
I mean, like already it's like from the newspaper to the first house. That's a short window. Like, let's get out there. Let's get boots on the ground. Jeez.
We'll come back to that because it's like I said, it's an issue in this case. So there were some witnesses. Okay, so another paper boy, his name was Mike. He reported that he saw Johnny talking to a man in a two-toned blue car near where the paper drop was. He said that the man, he described him like late 30s, a man, maybe had a mustache, maybe like kind of dark complected. So he saw him talking to Johnny. Another boy named John Rossi, he saw the man in the blue car talking to Johnny as well, and he thought it was strange because he had already seen him talking to that guy earlier, and Johnny had told him that he was asking for directions. But then he saw him talking to him again. He's like, Johnny already gave that guy directions. Why is he back?
That is, I mean, that's weird.
John said he did look at the license plate, but he could not recall the number.
Poor kid.
And he was quoted as saying that he keeps hoping he's going to wake up in the middle of the night and see that number on the license plate.
Oh.
He even underwent like hypnosis to try to like remember it.
He
remembered some of the numbers in the hypnosis, and police, that plate was from somebody from Warren County, Iowa, and they weren't able to connect him. The plate, so it was just random numbers he had. But so Johnny walked a block north, which is where his route started from where he picked up his papers.
Okay.
Another paper boy reported that there was a really tall, skinny man following Johnny on the sidewalk that morning, completely separate from the short man in the blue car.
Yeah.
So a different man.
Okay.
Another neighbor reported that he heard a door slam, and he saw a silver Ford Fairmount speeding away from right where Johnny's wagon was found. Another witness looked out his bedroom window that morning, and he saw a silver and black Ford Fairmount speeding, and it ran a stop sign. And it was heading north, as well as the other one that was going away from his wagon was heading north as well. So we have two boy witnesses with 2 different men. We have 2 other adult witnesses seeing
a Ford Fairmount.
So we have a blue car and a silver car.
Yes.
A tall guy and a short guy.
Yes.
Weird.
But both of the adult witnesses said it was a Ford Fairmount car. So I think it's probably getting the color wrong. As both of them said it was speeding. Both of them said it.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it probably is the same car. I think it's two different guys.
Yeah.
But I think the car is the same probably. So I'm gonna skip. We're gonna talk about a man now. This man, his name is Orville Cooney. His name and picture was published on the front page of the same paper that Johnny was delivering, the Des Moines Register, on February 27th in 1951, okay? He was 17 years old at the time, and there was a story about these 5 teens, one of which was our friend Orville, who had, like, kidnapped another boy and, like, savagely beat him.
Oh, gosh.
Together. Orville pleaded guilty to assault with the intent to inflict great bodily injury, and he was sentenced to 30 days in jail.
30 days?
30 days, yeah.
Jeez.
He went into the Marines, and then he became a police officer.
The bad guy did?
Yeah, the 17-year-old that was part of this group.
Okay.
In 1976... He was, after 8 years with the police agency, he was appointed to chief of the West Des Moines Police Department.
Okay.
So that is the chief of police that we're dealing with here.
Savagely beat another kid.
When he was 17.
I mean,
so not a great background for a police officer.
Johnny, question for you.
Yeah.
If I was somewhere in Kokomo and it wasn't our house and it wasn't the flower shop, where would I be?
Easy. Humble home.
Yes, you're right. You guys, listen up. Humble Home is my absolute favorite place to be for so many reasons. No matter what I'm looking for, I always check Humble Home first. Clothes, shoes, toys, decor, furniture, makeup, they literally always have something that I need. They have brand name items for cheap. Their inventory is constantly changing, so it's part of my weekly routine to do a Humble Home walkthrough. You absolutely need to stop by. I promise you won't be disappointed. While it is a discount store, it's not your average discount store. It's clean, organized, and everything has its place. I get zero anxiety when I go in, unlike other discount stores. And no matter what you're shopping for, a home project, gifts, home decor, even seasonal decor, they will have it. They are open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Sunday from noon to 5. You can follow them on Facebook at Humble Home Kokomo and watch for new items every single day. And for our Lafayette, Indiana listeners, I have exciting news. They're opening a second location in Lafayette soon. As soon as I have the details, I will let you know their opening date. Get excited.
In 1982, the Des Moines Tribune published a story, okay? Reporters had apparently went and interviewed at least 18 employees of the West Des Moines Police Department, and they all had alleged that Orville Cooney, the chief, had beaten and handcuffed a prisoner, compromised an investigation that one of his sons was considered implicated in. He had threatened and harassed different officers.
Whoa.
They said that he often smelled of alcohol. He would check up at them. He would check up on them weird times of night. And they also had seen empty beer cans in his police car.
Wow. So just an upstanding officer.
Yeah. The report also said that the department employed no African-American employees, and that the chief had said he would never hire a black person or a woman to his police force.
Wow.
And that he also often used the N-word.
Yikes. Big yikes.
The city, obviously, after this was published, opened their own investigation. It did not find Orville Cooney, the chief, to be in the wrong here. Instead, it actually, they went after those 18 people that did the interview.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, and so 2 officers that did
I feel
interview,
like if it's 1 or 2 people, you're like, okay, they're
right?
18?
18 of them.
Jeez.
2 officers got fired.
Whoa.
For doing that interview. And then they said that they were fired for misdeeds that they had committed months earlier.
Right.
But really,
sure.
it was,
Yeah.
And then there was a bunch of the others were reprimanded and got in trouble within the police department. They said basically they whitewashed the investigation from the beginning so Cooney could keep his job.
Wow.
So he was still the chief in September when Johnny disappeared.
Yikes. So you don't have a lot of confidence in that
Nope.
guy that you just read that article about.
Yep. Noreen, Johnny's mom, she's going to be the main character of this story.
Okay.
She said that she believed in the police system and the justice system until that day. She said that the officer's first question to her when he finally got there after an hour was if Johnny had ever run away before. Even though it was pretty obvious he'd been kidnapped.
Right.
There's a freaking red wagon on the
Right.
side of the road.
Seriously.
She said that police did pretty much nothing the first 72 hours.
Oh my gosh. Just like the most important time when a kid is clearly...
Quite literally, statistically, the most important time to search for a missing child, the police did not.
I mean, if you're a police officer and
volunteers were searching.
If you thought this kid ran away, do you really think he would wake up early, go get his paper for a paper route?
It never once looked like a runaway situation.
No.
Volunteers were searching, not the police.
Oh.
And apparently, through rumors, it got back to Noreen that Chief Cooney told the volunteers to go home because this kid is probably just a damn runaway. Quote.
That's what the evidence says, right, Chief?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So, Noreen couldn't stop thinking about this situation that had happened 2 nights before Johnny disappeared, okay? They had went to their older son's, they had a football game, JV football game.
Okay.
And the whole family went. Johnny went to go get some popcorn, and he didn't come back. And so his dad went to go look for him, and he found Johnny underneath the bleachers talking to a police officer.
Not good.
When he came back with his dad, Noreen was like, yo, where were you? And he told him, and the dad was like, he was talking to a police officer, and they're like, oh, what happened? And they said that nothing seemed out of the ordinary, and Johnny wasn't upset or anything. He said the officer was really nice to him, and they were just talking, but Noreen did not like that this cop had called her son under the bleachers. It was a secluded area.
That's weird.
Under the bleachers. Yeah, she said their dad said it was a secluded area, and she was like, I don't like it, and she got bad vibes from it. And so, as any mama bear would do, she called the police station the next day. Johnny pointed out the police officer when they were leaving the stadium that night, so she knew what he looked like. And so she went to the police station, she called them, and she was like, I would like to see all of the policemen that work here, pictures of them to make sure it was actually
a police officer, not somebody dressing up. Yeah.
It wasn't. None of the pictures that the police department showed her matched the cop that Johnny showed her.
Really?
Yes. She went to the school board too and told them about this. She also met with Chief Cooney, and that's who showed her the pictures.
Yeah. And
she was like, none of these pictures are the police officer that my son was talking to. And so she was like, you must be missing are there some more officers employed here that you're missing or something? She's trying to be please God, let it be a police officer.
Right.
And so he said, no, this is it. He basically brushed it off as just he was
misunderstood.
You misunderstood. It was a police officer. There's nothing to be worried about. Nothing was wrong. So she said that when she insisted that Cooney was either missing some pictures or her son was talking to somebody that was dressed up as a police officer, she said he literally was stomped his feet and was yelling at her, and she was like, fine, can I talk to the police?
Who's your boss?
Yeah. And he told her that he that wasn't possible. And so she said she felt like something was being hidden from her from the get-go.
Weird.
2 days later, her son goes missing.
That's weird.
Very weird. A woman reported 6 months after he went missing. Nothing happened. 6 months. They don't know where he's
Goodness, at. That's oh man.
So there was
knowing the short distance and the short amount of time.
Yeah. So a woman reported that she had actually seen a boy on a street corner. She said this boy was out of breath and he was asking for help. And she said he came up to her and he said, my name is John David Gosch. And she said he was asking for help, and 2 men came up and grabbed him and dragged him away. And this was in Oklahoma.
Oh my gosh.
Siding in Oklahoma. She didn't want her name to be made public. But there was a reporter for the Chicago Tribune who interviewed her later, as long as he kept her identity anonymous, he didn't want to. But according to that news report, the woman said she was completely unaware. She had no idea that a little boy named Johnny David Gosch had even been missing.
Legit, she didn't know?
She had no idea because she was in Oklahoma.
Right.
And so when she saw that story, that's when she called the police. Like,
wow.
I'm sure she wishes that she would have contacted the police. But as soon as she saw that story on TV, she actually got in contact with, she didn't call the police again, but she called the private investigator that was working with the Gosches, because that was the TV story she saw. The police, Noreen had been like, screw these guys. She got a private investigator right away.
Good for her.
She didn't feel like they were doing their job from the get-go. And so they had their own private investigator, and that's who this woman contacted. And then it was quoted from the Chicago Tribune again, that the private investigator said, "We and the FBI checked it out, and we are both convinced it was positively Johnny."
Whoa.
Yeah. The FBI spokesman, they declined to comment on it as it was an ongoing investigation. So now we are at February 22nd, 1984, which was about a year after the sighting in Oklahoma.
Okay.
So he disappeared in 82, and we're at 84. So we're like 2 years after the disappearance, 1 year after the sighting.
Okay.
The phone rang at Noreen's house, John and Noreen's house. Noreen picked it up, and somebody said, "Mom." She said it sounded like Johnny. She said his words were slurred. He was asking for help. When she asked where he was, the phone got hung up.
Oh my gosh.
She said there were 2 more calls right after that from somebody that sounded like Johnny. She said she told him she loved him. She told him that if he can get away, find an adult, find a police officer. The line went dead both times.
Oh my gosh.
She called the police. They said, "Sorry, those calls are untraceable." Yeah. Where am I at here? About a month later, a story was reported about more possible sightings of Johnny. One of them was reported to be in Texas. The guy was quoted, or the sheriff's investigator in the county that the sighting was, he was quoted in saying, "I believe the boy is alive and I believe he can be found, but I'm not saying when." Like, what a weird thing to say.
Yeah, seriously.
August 12th, 1984, still 2 years after Johnny went missing, another boy went missing from Des Moines. This boy's name was Eugene Martin. He was also a paper boy.
Oh my gosh.
He also disappeared while delivering papers.
Whoa.
They found his newspaper bag filled with the Des Moines Register that was left behind. They worked for the same newspaper, both taken in the early morning hours, no trace, left the papers behind.
Runaway too, probably? Officer Cooney?
Yeah, probably. March 29th, 1986, was the day before Easter. A 13-year-old boy named Mark James Warren Allen told his mom that he was going to a friend's house. He never got there, and he's never been seen since. They described, so initial reports said he was also a paper boy, or that he was on a paper route, delivering the Des Moines Register. However, his brother later cleared it up. He was employed, but he was a paper boy, but he wasn't on a route at the time of his disappearance. But he was a paper boy.
Seriously though, I mean,
and he was taken early in the morning. He just didn't happen to be delivering papers at that moment. He was just going to a friend's house.
But I mean, still, it's somebody that's not a coincidence. 3 kids.
3 kids, same city.
Like, let's start looking
3
at
boys,
the
right?
men that are around that situation.
Authorities were never able to connect to those 3.
Other than the fact that they worked at the same freaking place, when missing at the same freaking time.
I was going to say, they're already connected for you, sir.
Yeah.
Like,
connected. Here I am. I have an elementary education degree,
they
sir.
They arrived to you connected.
Yeah.
Please don't tell me you can't connect to them.
Unbelievable.
Did you know the Jefferson House of Flowers has been a local Kokomo florist for almost 100 years? Our trained designers make beautiful arrangements for literally any occasion. You can send flowers for any reason. Birthdays, anniversaries, get well, congratulations. The list goes on. We make flowers for funerals, weddings, proposals, and even proms. Let's be honest. Receiving flowers, whether you're at home or at your work, it makes you feel special. You get butterflies and you feel loved, and that's what sending flowers is all about, the feeling it creates. Call us at 765-452-8269 and let us create something special and send it out for you. Or you can stop in and see us at 4300 West, 100 North Kokomo. We always have a cooler full of flowers that are ready to go, as well as a boutique full of gifts. Shop local, support local, and send flowers.
So Noreen, Mama Bear, she's pissed.
I imagine.
She's got 2 witnesses that saw 2 strange men following her son. Someone saw a car run a stop sign. Someone saw a car speeding away from her son's wagon. It's been 2 years. Other boys are missing. She said her son had that paper route for 2 whole years and never missed it every Sunday morning. He didn't deliver a single paper that morning, and police still would not call it an abduction. Like, would not refer to it. They were not referring to it as an abduction.
I don't understand.
Yeah. Okay, so 1991. That's how much time has passed here. Noreen gets a phone call from a private investigator in Nebraska. Okay, you're gonna have to stick with me here. This is where we get into some conspiracy stuff. Okay.
Okay.
Police aren't doing anything. Noreen's doing it all. She's got her own private investigator. She's got making connections. A private investigator calls her from Nebraska, and he was working with a lawyer whose client was in jail for child molestation. This inmate said that he had participated in the kidnapping of Johnny. This investigator was like, I have hours worth of interview recordings with this guy. Can I meet with you and you listen to him and see if you think this guy is telling the truth? Noreen's like, come on over.
Yeah.
And so she met with the investigator, and they spent like an entire day going over these tapes. She made lunch. She said she made Johnny's favorite meal for him, which was completely irrelevant to this case, but roast beef Italian sandwiches. And so they sat down at her kitchen table and they listened to these tapes. It was like hours of tapes.
I can't imagine. That sounds horrible to me.
The interview was with a man named Paul Bonacci, I'm going to call it.
Bonacci?
You think so?
Either one.
Bonacci sounds more fun. He was 23, okay? He had a terrible childhood, sexual abuse, whatever, bad guy. However, he met a man. This is the story he told, okay? I'm just going to tell the story of what Paul Bonacci had told his lawyer, who his lawyer contacted the private investigator. The private investigator talked to Noreen, okay? He was at a park, and he met a boy named Mike in a park outside of Omaha. He said that he told him about some of the abuse that he had been suffering. Bonacci had told this boy, like, confided to him about, like, some of the sexual abuse that he had endured. Okay. And he seemed pretty interested by this, and he was like, you need to meet one of my friends. It's a man named Emilio, and he makes child pornography. And so this was in 1982 when Paul was 15, okay?
Yikes.
So Mike and Emilio invited Paul on a trip with them. And they were going to go to Iowa. Paul has told this story many times, and it's always remained the exact same, I should say, too. And so this is also drawn from, like, sworn testimony from a court hearing, too.
Whoa.
So he's like...
So this is his story.
This is his story.
Not wavering.
He's said it many times. It's never changed, and he's told it on the stand.
Okay.
He said they went to Des Moines. They stayed at a hotel. Another man came in to the hotel room, and he had a paper bag full of pictures of boys. And they laid them all out, and he said they pointed to a picture of Johnny Gosch. He said he doesn't know why they chose Johnny, other than because of the way he looked. They said they talked about his hair color and his eye color, and that they thought that he could make them some money. Paul quickly realized that he was there was a kidnapping plot happening, and that he was part of it. And so he tried to leave. He tried to back out. But Emilio, he said, took him for a little drive and put a gun to his head and said, you either do this or I'm going to blow your brains out and leave you here on this dirt road. So Paul's like, okay, I guess I'll help. They go back to the hotel, and they came up with this plan, which involved 3 vehicles and like 6 different people.
Whoa.
They said that they arranged chairs in the hotel room to practice, like, where they were going to sit in the car and how they were going to get Johnny. Paul and Mike were in the back of the car. The driver was going to pull up to Johnny, ask him some questions, drive back around the block. Then Paul was going to get out of the car, talk to Johnny and ask him more questions. And then they were going to grab him and run and put him in the car and go away with him. Paul said that his job was to lure him close enough to the car to get him, like, to make him feel safe, because Paul was only 15. And so then he was trying to, like, lure him to the car.
Wow.
So early the next morning they wake up and they carried out this plan. And Paul said he got out and he asked Johnny a question. And he said there was another man there named Tony who pushed Johnny into the car. He said Paul said he helped incapacitate Johnny by putting chloroform over a rag over his face.
Wow.
He said they drove out of town. They switched to another vehicle. They said that he said the vehicle that they were in and whoever was driving that car took off and said they were going to Chicago. And then the station wagon the secondary car started heading south out of the area. He didn't know where they were going though, but they ended up back in Omaha. And they went to a house near Sioux City. And Paul said that first night at that house, that Emilio had a couple guys come over and they went into town to drink. And Paul left. They left Paul and Mike and Johnny in a room with no windows that they had locked from the outside because Mike was a kid too.
So it's Paul. Paul's 15.
Yeah. Mike was the one that recruited him in that part.
Yeah, that's messed up, but yeah.
But that's
they're
what
still kids.
They're having their kids do the recruiting for
that's
them,
so
which
sad.
happens, you know.
Yeah.
But Mike was still not like free. He was part of it. Yeah. So they locked all three of them in a room. And he said when the guys got back that night, Mike and Paul and Johnny all had to do a bunch of like sexual things to the guys and to each other, and that they filmed it all, and that they were selling it for pornography and everything. He said the next day they went back to Omaha, and Johnny the next day Paul was taken back to Omaha, and Johnny stayed behind in Sioux City. He said a couple months later they took him back they took him on a trip to Colorado, and he said he saw Johnny there a second time in Colorado, and he said this time we went and they both stayed with a guy that they only knew him as the Colonel.
Gross.
Right. He said it was a ranch house. It was out in the country and it had a raised floor, but the space had been dug out under the floor, and that's where they would keep the kids.
Yikes.
Obviously this story has been questioned a lot. America's Most Wanted in 1993, they did a TV show, and they had Paul lead a camera crew to a house in Colorado where he said him and Johnny had been kept. They were going to make a film called Who Took Johnny. When they got there, that house had like a secret underground chamber, and there was like initials carved into the wood down there.
No way.
Yeah.
So this guy's story's like reliable.
It seems pretty reliable.
He told it in court. Like that's.
Yeah. So weeks after that episode aired on America's Most Wanted, the Who Took Johnny, the Omaha World Herald published a story that said the sheriff's investigators in Colorado went to the house to investigate it, and they don't have any substantiation that Johnny was ever there or that any laws were violated. It was just this guy's story.
I mean, the details that are lining up with this story, though, the multiple cars, the multiple men, witnesses saw multiple people, multiple cars.
Yeah, it sounds pretty stinking reliable.
Yeah.
Noreen believed it.
I mean,
fully.
Like,
she said Paul could not have made it up. She went and talked to Paul in prison. She said she talked to him extensively about her son Johnny. She said he knew that Johnny had bought a bike to ride around their house. He knew that Johnny sometimes went to yoga classes that Noreen taught. He knew that Noreen and Johnny liked to go to Chi-Chi's for lunch together. He knew that he had a birthmark that looked like South America on his chest. He knew that he had a scar on his tongue from when he fell and bit his tongue really bad when he was little. The police never interviewed Paul.
Wait a minute. What?
Like, this man is telling you this story. I know he's a prisoner.
What about the FBI? Like, his story is an FBI level problem.
He's in jail for child molestation. But, like, all of his stuff, like, he was in this, like, pedophile ring type thing.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is an FBI problem.
And his story
if this story has any truth to it.
They don't believe him at all.
What?
They think, I mean, he's lied before. I mean, he's in prison.
I get it.
He's a prisoner. Like, come on. We don't believe prisoners all that often. But, like, you gotta believe him at some point. Like, some of it. Even if you believe half of this story. Like, come on.
Goodness. Okay.
One of the best decisions I've ever made for myself is something I never thought I would do. You want to know my secret?
hiring a cleaning company. Like, who does that? I never thought I would say that I'm going to have my house cleaned for me, but in this season of life with young kids and sports and work and side hustles, I had to decide how I wanted to spend my free time, and cleaning was not on that list. Stanley Cleaning Company has given me my free time back. They come once a month and they sweep and mop my entire house and clean my bathrooms for me, and let me tell you, it is my favorite day of the month. Coming home to a sparkling clean house and knowing that I just saved 3+ hours of my time to spend with my kids is such a mental health game changer for me. It doesn't matter who from their team comes, they leave my house shining. And the best part is it's affordable. Christine offers an a la carte menu. You can do a general or a deep cleaning, just a sweep and a mop. You can do once a month or every week, a spring cleaning or a pre-party clean. She even has a postpartum mom clean that happens while you're in the hospital having your baby, and I can attest to that. It is amazing. Give them a call today for a free quote, and I promise it will be the best self-care you can imagine. You can find them on Facebook at Stanley Cleaning Company, or you can give her a call or a text at 765-860-3606.
So, early 1997. Johnny's been missing for 15 years at this point.
That's so sad, yeah.
His parents were now divorced. Noreen lived in an apartment by herself. She's asleep in bed. Somebody knocks on her door at night. She gets up. She looks through the peephole and she sees 2 men, one of which is Johnny.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. She opens the door, and she said that he said, "Hi, Mom, it's me." He would have been 27 by now. Okay?
Right.
Noreen said she was literally shaking. She said that he was a full-grown man, but she said the eyes don't change. She said it was Johnny's eyes. She also said that when she opened the door, she said people have their own vibrations, their own energy. She said when I hugged him, she said it was the same energy as my little boy. She said it was Johnny. She knew it was Johnny. She invited both guys into her living room to sit down. Johnny proved his identity by lifting his shirt up and showing her his South American.
This is real?
This happened. This is Noreen's account. Okay. His South African, I don't remember.
I'm where you're gonna be like she was dreaming. Woke up from
she wasn't dreaming. His birthmark on his chest. He showed her.
Undeniable.
The other man, she said he didn't really say much, but every time she asked a question, Johnny would look at him first before he answered. She said she felt like he was like controlling him somehow. She asked Johnny where he'd been living. He looked at the other man who told him not to answer. So he didn't. She said, she talked to him. She did not call the police.
I feel like I would just shoot that guy right in the head.
She said she didn't trust the police, which I don't blame her. She said that the law enforcement had just done so bad that she didn't call the police. She said she was quoted, "Why the hell would I call the police? They didn't do anything in the first place." And so she said, I wasn't going to put my son in danger from them again. And so she offered to call Roy Stevens, which was her private investigator. Sorry, not her private investigator, the private investigator that brought her the tapes from Paul.
Yeah.
She said that terrified Johnny. He was like, "Do not call him. If you do, I'm leaving."
Okay.
So she didn't call. She said instead she just tried to talk. She said Johnny told her that day he had been pulled off the sidewalk into a car where he lost consciousness, and when he woke up, he was in a basement and he was bound and gagged. He told her that he was scared, he was crying, and there was another young man there whose name was Paul.
Whoa. And
told her, just do whatever they tell you to and you're going to be okay. She said Johnny didn't tell her any of the details of any of the sexual abuse that he encountered, but she said pretty much his story was the exact same story that Paul had told her when she visited him.
Wow.
And in those interviews, she said that Johnny said he was locked in the basement for days until a man came and bought him from his kidnappers. He said the man paid a large sum of cash and put it on a table, and he was known as the Colonel.
What?
Noreen said that Johnny told her he was then taken away, where he was moved all over the country and used sexually by different men. Businessmen, politicians.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Noreen said the visit lasted about an hour. And Johnny said he was on the run. He was hiding from the people that took him. He was barely able to support himself. He didn't know if he should even visit his mom because he was told that if he ever tried to contact her, they would kill her and him. He said that he wouldn't be safe until the people that were responsible for this were arrested, and that's why he had been hiding. He asked her, to help him, to do something about it, and then he stood up and said he had to go. And Noreen didn't stop him. She said he was an adult, make his own choices. There was nothing she could do. She didn't want him to be in danger, and so she hugged him and he left.
Oh my gosh.
So she was like, I have to find out who did this for my son so he can come out hiding. Many people have questioned Noreen and her stories, okay?
That sounds like unbelievable.
They've questioned her credibility.
Man.
Tom Boyd is a retired police detective who started to investigate the case too. Before he was retired, he started to investigate the case. It was his job, and even after his retirement, he still investigates the case and talked to Noreen. But he said there is just so much gray area. He said, just like Noreen's visit. He said, how am I supposed to verify that? She told me about that 2 years after it happened.
Oh,
he said, how do I verify that's true?
Seriously.
He said, am I supposed to go door to door and be like, hey, do you remember 2 years ago if you saw anybody in the hallway of this apartment complex? Like, yeah. He's like, I can't.
Right. That's tough.
I can't prove it's not true, but I can't prove it is.
Right.
So a lot of people don't believe her.
That's tough.
A lot of people do.
That's so tough. Wow.
He said she has tons of suspects in her son's disappearance.
Like she's does, not the police. She does.
She's got.
He's a runaway still.
Unbelievable. A lot of people have painted her as this crazy person who has a bulletin board with the red yarn and all these people that she's higher ups. And a lot of people have painted her as a mom that has a bulletin board with a lot of higher ups. Yeah. One story she's crazy, one story she's not.
Yeah. Gee whiz.
A reporter actually found Paul and talked to him. He's out of jail. He's married.
Oh my gosh. He's not in jail right now.
No.
Okay.
He went and talked to him, and he said, he asked him, do you believe that Johnny visited his mom? And he said, yeah. He goes, actually, I know it happened because Johnny told me he went to visit his mom.
Wow.
He said, he asked him, do you think Johnny's alive? And he said, yeah, I know he's alive. He has a family of his own just like I do. He said he's hiding because, we're afraid that we're going to be killed if we talk about what happened to us.
Yeah.
He said, we all are. He said it's like a fraternity of blood brothers, a fraternity you don't want to be in. He said there's hundreds. There's over 100 of us.
What?
He said, and we're all hiding and talking. We're scared.
What?
We're not talking. We're scared.
This is wild.
Noreen has claimed to have spoken to over 100 men who have suffered the same abuse that Paul talks about for him and Johnny. She said that she's had knocks on her door at night, in the middle of the night, from men that just want to talk to somebody because they want somebody to believe them of what happened to them when they were kids. 6 of the men that have came to talk to her claim that they actually crossed paths with Johnny when they were kidnapped and stuff.
That's wild. That's hard to believe.
She said she knows that they were true though, because they said that Johnny said, you just have to relax, and he taught them a relaxation technique that she taught Johnny when he was younger because she had a yoga studio. Yeah. And Johnny was telling all the boys how to relax.
Oh my god.
When all this abuse was happening to them.
How can we verify that she's talked to these people? This is wild.
Yeah, I know.
That's oh.
And so Noreen has been really vocal about how inadequate the police were, how bad the investigation was. She is telling everybody and anyone that will listen that there is this child pedophile ring out there that is kidnapping boys and selling them and trading them in the U.S. So Noreen actually established the Johnny Gosch Foundation in 1982, and she actually would visit schools and speak about sexual predators and stuff. She also lobbied for the Johnny Gosch bill, which is a state legislation which mandates an immediate police response to a report of a missing child, which I didn't know that wasn't a thing.
Seriously, that should be a thing already.
But if you think about it, when reports come into the police that are non-emergent, they'll be okay, we'll get someone there as soon as we can. They can't say that when it's a missing child. They have to go right there, that's an emergency. Yeah. So she actually got that.
Well, I was thinking too, if it's a minor and it's a runaway, like that doesn't matter. They're still a minor. Like,
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, and so that bill became law in Iowa in '84 because of Noreen. In August of '84, she testified in Senate hearings about organized crime, and she talked about organized pedophilia.
Wow.
And its presumed role in his abduction.
Yeah.
She said she began receiving death threats after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And she couldn't care less, probably
Probably
I
not.
guess.
She also testified before the U.S. Department of Justice, which provided $10 million, and it established the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
Wow.
She was invited to the White House by Ronald Reagan for a dedication ceremony for that.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, she's
been fighting
like
the whole
80
time.
years old. And she's still fighting. She still fully
Respect.
believes he's
so
alive.
much respect. I mean, how could you not?
Based
Based on everything you've told me, how could you not?
So there is a few, there was a podcast that did a story on it that basically said she was crazy and that there was a few pedophiles in the area that probably were responsible, but Noreen, they were ruled out. Noreen's like, we looked at those, like the police looked into that.
Yeah.
Like the local pedophile, like the one that they thought was out of town that day, and they verified that. And so she's like, it wasn't them. And so Noreen fully believes in this like high-end I say conspiracy, but it doesn't take much convincing for me for any good conspiracy theory.
My thing is, I've always said this, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Like if there's enough evidence for me to think about it, it's not a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about the OJ situation.
Yeah.
Again, that's not a conspiracy to me. There's enough evidence to support one way. Like you either believe that evidence or you don't. But like in this case, it's hard to deny that guy's story.
I always knew about the
I think it's weird that she says, "Oh, I've talked to 100 people. Like, oh, I've talked to all these different people. I talked to like that's all weird to me."
She said that those men, though, like they said, Johnny said you would be nice to us. Like we can talk to you about it.
I want to believe that. I want to believe that happened, but like that's hard for me to believe.
She said she's like.
But this guy's story that he spoke on the stand, lining up with all this other stuff, like that to me, I'm like, that's
Paul is one of those boys. Is what he's saying. Like
sure. Yeah, I mean, so that's
and he
one.
said, like she's like the grandmother to all of us, like
that's
the one that's going to
wild.
listen and the one that's going to believe us.
That's wild.
Insane. I mean, and I've always known about this case. I always knew the milk bar. I mean,
I've never heard of it. But...
The milk carton boy that disappeared while delivering papers. I've always known about that case. I had no idea it went so deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So yeah, I mean, I think I'm on Noreen's side here.
I mean, like we always say someone knows something. Sounds like a lot of people know something, but they are terrified to say.
Yeah. I believe Noreen here. I'm going with Noreen.
Mama vibe.
Mama vibes. I think Johnny's out there. I think he has a family somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah. Someone knows something.
This podcast is a So.Will.I.Studos production. So will I. Whether you're a team of 1 or 1,000, Bo Digital can help make your marketing goals a reality.
Let's be honest, most of us who run our own businesses need help in the marketing category. Either you have no clue what an algorithm is or you just don't have time to mess with it, Bo can help you with that. They offer an a la carte menu of marketing services where you can take what you need. It can be your website, your socials, newsletters, or even blogs. Bo can help you take some of it off your plate and free up time for you to focus more on the things that you love. I personally use Bo Digital in my own small business, and I love them and the team that they have and the knowledge that they possess is far beyond anything that I could do on my own. If you're looking to grow your business, you have to put a bow on it. You can reach out to them on their website, bowdigital.com, or on Facebook, BOWE digital.com.